Okay, so I think this is all working like it's supposed to, according to completely different environment than I've ever done a stream in. Welcome. I am currently in Little Rock for the Arkansas Pen Club meeting, and I came in a day early yesterday and spent the day at Vanness, and I had placed a pretty big order of different stationery and stuff so I can start doing more letters, and I have not even had a chance to look at the book. So, while I had some time in the hotel this morning before I go to the pen club meeting a little bit later on and back up to the store, I thought I would just turn the stream on and kind of go through what I got and see it for the first time so that I can see what all I ended up with. And, along those lines, since I want to start doing some more letters, I also have recently added in a couple of vintage typewriters to my arsenal of writing tools, and I picked up two from a purchase from someone who lived close to Vanness who dropped them off there for me. So I'll show those as well. They need a little bit some new ribbon and whatnot. They're not typing the best, but that's another little thing that I plan on adding in every so often onto the channel. So you get a little bit of a sneak preview with that here. So all that being said, let me see if I can switch the camera over to one where it will show the desk-ish, and I will go through. There we go. Okay, so to start, we have the literal huge bag of stuff. So I'm just going to set this to the side and pull out item at a time. Like I said, I don't even really remember what I ordered because I knew I was going. So this will be a little bit of a surprise. So this first one here is the original Crown Mill, and this is just some nice like letter writing stationery. Try and get that. It's got like a cream inner layer, it looks like, and this still has the plastic on it, so I'm not going to open that because I do still have to travel back home to Nashville. But so I got some Crown Mill stationery, and I did not really plan on where to set stuff, so I'll see what I can stack here. I might have to adjust that as I go. This is another box of Crown Mill. This one had like some blue and whatnot, because as I've been writing letters, I've got a regular correspondence going with a few people, and I don't have much different terms of paper. So I wanted something different, so it's not always using the same papers or things like that. So continue into the bag. So this is some Yamamoto A4, and this is typewriter paper. So I picked this up to go along with, like I mentioned, the couple new typewriters, new to me typewriters. I got one from the 30s, one from the 40s, and two from the 60s. So that one typewriter's quickly become four, but I guess that's kind of how hobbies go. So this is the Yamamoto typewriter paper to try out in those. Okay, we got some stickers. And I had had these in my cart for a long time, but it wasn't enough to make an order. So this is some little like sumo stickers because I thought they were kind of funny. And then this is a whole bunch of little drawn sushi because once again, I also thought that was quite funny and would be fun to have for using in journal or sticking in letters and whatnot. These are from Mindwave. Both of these are Mindwave products. And please give feedback of if this stream is coming through well. I have no idea with hotel internet where I'm using the free version if everything is coming through clearly. Please drop something in the chat and let me know if this is, watchable, because I have no way of monitoring like I normally would at home with a second monitor or a TV or anything like that. So we're just kind of winging it and see what we end up with. So the next thing I have here is another Yamamoto paper tasting. This one is the traditional Japanese washi papers because I hadn't done anything with washi papers yet. So that'll be fun to play around with. I really like those paper tasters. Okay, this is another stationery, and this is another Crown Mill. And these are cards, so they're not the boxed stationery. They're just kind of like a correspondence card. So those should be fun. And I do like how these come in a little box, so you can set that up if it wasn't in the plastic, and it'll hold that there. So that's kind of nice. Okay, what do we got here? Original Crown Mill, and this is, I think these are just envelopes. I had some other papers like the Life Bank paper or things like that, but I didn't have any A5 size envelopes. So this will be a little bit of a mix and match when I get to using these, but you know, I don't want to use regular envelopes if I'm writing a letter. I'd rather use a A5 size. It just makes a little bit more sense. So original Crown Mill envelopes. And I think the lighting in here is not the best. There were some of these that were gray and some of these that were white. And I think these are the white ones, but the lighting is really kind of throwing off in here. So, okay, now onto some ink. So I did pick up a couple, and this is one that I had been waiting for a while that had been sold out many places. This is the Sabi Midori from Tasha. So they finally had some bottles in, so I was glad to pick that up. It's got a cool effect, and a lot of people really seem to love this ink, so I wanted to see what it was all about, so picked that up. We're getting further into the bag here, so let me... Okay, and then, I really like the Ackerman inks, and who doesn't need a massive bottle of Ackerman? This one is the Dutch Master series, and this is the number 5, which is Israel's Zeeblau, which is a really light blue. I know that's not going to focus all that well on there, but you can see it's got the way they do their box. They have the whole Dutch Masters collection, and they just put a little mark in the circle for the right ink. So Ackerman is always a good choice. Let's see if I can kind of get the rest of this stuff out in more of a stack and go through it. It's the problem when you have a cart going for a long time and you kind of forget what all you added. But it is nice to have a little surprise as you're opening it up to see what you ended up with. Okay, so let me get this where I can show each item as I figure out what they are. Move the Ackerman out of the way. Okay, so the other Tasha ink that I got is the Fukaki Hanada, which is another one that I've seen quite a few times, and I was excited to pick up. And it sounds like the hotel housekeeping is vacuuming outside of my room, so hopefully that doesn't pick up on the mic. If it does, we're just going to go with it because this is just impromptu. So another Tasha ink there. So I did end up with 3 bottles of ink. I didn't get any more, but I am going back to Vanness today, and there's a couple other Ackerman bottles that I've been tempted, like the number 28, which is the green. That one's been appealing, but we'll see. So then this is just a tiny little, I think this is the sensor masking tape. So instead of big washi, it's just like the small thin, you can see compared to this other roll of washi here, which is I think another roll of well-appointed desk. Oh no, this is the Papier Plat, so similar ink bottle type design to the well-appointed desk washi, but you can see the height difference, very small. And I got 2 of those, so I got the confidential masking tape, and then this one is the danger warning. So when you actually put those down, you can kind of see on here, I don't know if the camera's going to pick it up because the way the lighting is, it says confidential on there, so it's kind of like a warning label, thin washi. So I got that Papier Plats. I've got, what is this? This is just a washi that has a bunch of different arrows. So I thought that was kind of neat. I remember I added that to the cart a while ago, and just, like I said, a lot of these little things I didn't want to place an order just for that. So this was kind of a combo order of a bit of waiting. This one is another from the Papier Plats, which is masking tape, which is just different pictures of fountain pens on it, which I thought was kind of cool. And I used the washi so far in journals, and I also have been sealing my envelopes when I'm mailing, just to be sure that the envelopes stay closed in thing. Howdy, Lisa. Olive Octopus. Glad to see you. Okay, what is this one here? This one is washi tape, And this one is more sushi because I don't know why I have a lot of sushi stickers and sushi tapes. And I just think they're fun. So, and this one's kind of a purple background and different sushi, so that should be fun to use. And I have no idea what this is. So this is a cool little tin, if nothing else, that's an apothecary, and I don't remember what is in it. So it says apothecary stickers box. So I assume it has stickers of some sort in there. Shoot, let's just see. Why not? This one, the stuff will stay enclosed in the box. And sorry if this is loud with opening the packaging. Hey Ann, hey Kim. Glad to see y'all. This is interesting doing a stream from a hotel room, but so far it seems like it's working. Okay, so that's what this was. These are all like old-timey apothecary bottle label type stickers that I just thought was really cool. And they're all sorts of different designs. So, this is one of those where I was looking to just scrolling through the Vanness website, just going through everything to see stuff that I hadn't seen before. Because that's how you find the good stuff, is just searching and seeing what comes up. So those are going to be cool to play around with, probably if like in journals and maybe including in some letters, especially with these older typewriters. I think that's kind of a nice mix of the two. So these are from Ray May, and these are reinforcements for 6-ring. So I use the plotter stuff. Safe drive, Lisa, as you continue your journey to Little Rock. So these are going to be used in my 6-ring binders for things that I want in there for things that I want to stay in there longer and not risk the paper ripping, especially if I'm using better paper like punched versions of Tomoe or Iraful, things like that. So this was a neat product, and when talking to Lisa Vanness yesterday, she's starting to get more of the ringed stuff in, and Plotter is well known in the US, but Plotter's kind of like the small time brand in Japan where the ring binder really took traction. So she's working on trying to bring in more of the stuff that's seems foreign to us, obviously, but it's just the normal commonplace stuff that you'd find in Japan, which I'm all here for it, because I like my Plotter stuff, but I want the best inserts that are going to work, and if there's other inserts or other papers, sign me up. So this is San Lorenzo, and this is just some more envelopes. It's 25-pound paper envelopes in a natural color. Once again, just to have some more A5 envelopes, so if I'm using my other papers, and I think these will be handy. I've been typing so far, because I haven't really mentioned the typewriters on the YouTube side yet, but if you're in any of the local pin groups or discords, since I got the first one and then that grew to the second one the next day, and then the two more that are sitting next to me here, things are getting pretty serious. But I've been typing on the Life Bank paper because I can type and then do a cool little handwritten note at the bottom. And actually, Anne on the stream was one of the early typewritten letters, a kind of beta tester letter recipient. So you get the combo of typing on a vintage typewriter, handwriting, and then now someone was asking, so at the bottom of the letter I normally write down, oh, that was with this pen and this ink, so now I'm going to have to type at the bottom it was typed on this typewriter, and then have also the handwritten line for what I signed with, or wrote a little handwritten note at the bottom too. So that's just another fun way to do more letters, spice it up a little bit. So some more A5 envelopes. And I'm going to try and mute. Hopefully I can mute correctly, because this is a different setup so I don't cough in your ear. Okay. And along with the sushi theme, I saw that and I was like, okay, I got to get those, because this little guy here, the sushi ninja with the headband, that sold it for me. I couldn't not get those. So just some more stickers to use in journals or on letters, because I think that's hilarious. And that's one thing with some more of these Japanese products coming in. Sushi is just fun. I love sushi to eat, but it's also become almost its own little cultural art thing, which is always nice to see. So more sushi stickers. Okay, I'll start with do this one. This is some other just letter writing paper. This is the Crown Mills. I showed earlier the pack of envelopes that kind of match this. So you can have the nice paper to go with it. And, you know, this is a tablet, but it's meant to be ripped off and written or typed on. And I just wanted some paper variety. I love all the papers for the fountain pens, and now trying to find papers that I can type on and use fountain pens on is going to be a little bit of a different journey. So, trying to combine those two. But if nothing else, I know this is going to be great for handwritten letters. And if nothing else, I love their packaging, like their logo and their kind of vintage look. That's just a cool looking setup, if nothing else. So, okay, getting down to the last three things, and there's a theme here. This worked out really well, so I'll start with this one. This was just a set of stickers that Vanness had that was just random old typewriters, and I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. That's very timely and thematic. I'll pick that up. And then I don't remember if I saw this myself or if someone saw it on Vanness and sent it to me. So this one is Royal Typewriter. So all four of my typewriters so far are from the Royal brand of different eras. So this is kind of cool because I'm looking on here. None of these are the ones that I have. This top one is closer to one that I brought with me because there's a couple of typewriter people in the Arkansas Pen Club as well. So I was like, it doesn't hurt to throw them in the Jeep. I've got plenty of room, and then, can talk typewriters and pens because that's a great combo. And since I'm new to it, people who've been in that kind of part of the hobby can help educate me, and I can learn more from that. So always here for learning more. But this is just neat to add into journals and on some of the letters, putting this at the top after I've typed something out or whatnot. So always great to have more stickers. I'm really getting into using stickers more in terms of journaling and whatnot. So let me figure out the best way to kind of set this aside without blasting your ears out. Because that's one thing normally when I'm streaming, I have my little mixing board where I can hit a button and it mutes everything so I don't make loud noises. I do not have that here, so give me a second. And hopefully the picture quality is coming through. This is like my face is just through my laptop camera, and I brought one of my little webcams for this little side camera that seems to be working pretty well for a hotel desk. Okay, so as I mentioned, typewriters. And I'm not going to be able to show the full thing easily, but, well, I guess that's a terrible angle to show that. Give me a second here. I think I might be able to add a camera to help show this part. Let's see. Duplicate. Change this camera to okay, so let's see. There we go. So I was able to, let me switch it over so y'all can actually see it. So I was able to switch to my phone camera. So hopefully the audio comes through. I'll talk a little bit louder, but this is one of the 60s era typewriters I picked up, and this is known as an ultra portable because as you can see, it's not very tall. So this would have been the laptop of the day, so it's a good juxtaposition of the laptop with the stream and the typewriter laptop equivalent. And then I'm going to step away. You probably won't hear me, but the other one's on the counter here. I'll just kind of go over and show that one real quick. And then I'll come back and talk and kind of explain what they are and what the plans are for them. So this one is the other. This is a Royal Ensign, and this is even smaller. Both of these need some new ribbon so that they can be used better. The ribbon is really faint that is in them. But they're cool, and as you can see, I was playing around with just typing in to get something on there. So let me switch this back here. Okay, so the plans for these typewriters. I already did this to channel members. I put out a list where I can get addresses, and I'm going to start sending out letters, and that's also part of why I got all the stationery, to find new people who want to receive letters or postcards once I find some good postcards. So I'm going to do a combination of probably like typed page and a written page, or type the first half, write the second half, something like that, just to give me more motivation to continue writing letters. If I have people expecting them, then that's going to make sure I do it. And, sometimes that kind of motivation is helpful. So that's the general plan. And I'm just learning the typewriter stuff because, to me, a typewriter is a different type of stationary tool. And I'm sure there are some people who are on the typewriter side who are like, typewriters aren't stationary, they're typewriters. Or people on the pen side, like, that's not stationary. For me, this is my definition, and I'm going to go with it. I think it's a different tool. You're still having to be very particular about paper, about the ribbon you use and which color it is. Like, some of these typewriters, you can hit a little switch and it'll go from black to red, or you can get custom color ribbons, so not as much flexibility as fountain pens. But still something to kind of play around with. And then, like this paper that I have in here, this is some Life typewriter paper that I, got at Gentleman Stationer the other day, knowing that I was going to be adding in. And, that's a good thing. If you read the Gentleman Stationer website and one of his recent posts where he had the little picture at the top where he pulled out the typewriters, he's also a typewriter guy. So that also added in, like, okay, this is someone who's made a business off kind of the more analog way of doing things, and he has 3 typewriters in the shop. So I'm like, okay, I'm feeling pretty good. So, it's just a different tool to get to a desired result, and typewriters just sound cool. I mean, I was at the verge of I never really learned typing on a typewriter. I was right at the beginning when it was time to learn typing on like basic computers. I was talking to a friend in Memphis on Thursday night as I stopped halfway through to have dinner with a couple of friends, and we were talking about the typewriters, and he said, "Oh yeah, I remember we'd go into class and we'd sit down and we're giving our paper out." And so, George, currently I have like a 6-foot IKEA desk with a 49-inch monitor on it. That's where I normally am streaming from and doing that. And then I have an IKEA table to the left side that currently has my 2 typewriters. Now with the 4, I'm going to have to figure out a nice thing, but I kind of set that side desk as a writing desk. So when I'm writing letters, I just rotate my desk chair there so I'm not looking at a monitor. I've got a nice clear surface to have the paper on, have my little box that has washi, has a glue stick because I've been gluing the envelopes closed just because some of these stationary envelopes don't actually have adhesive. So little things like that. But so I have a combo. I don't have a true typewriter desk, but I have that right side table that is a writing desk, and then I can just rotate to the right, have my laptop and keyboard in there. So even during the workday, if I'm taking 15 minutes, I might just turn the chair to the left and write out a page of letter or do something like that. So a little bit of a combo. And then the typewriters being new, one of them is so big, it's a desktop version, it's like 40 pounds. That's the one that's not going to go anywhere. It has the one spot. It's at the edge of that table. Yeah, and George, you say that there's a couple of it would be new to me, but not new. vintage typewriter desks that actually are meant to hold those big desktop typewriters, where like the middle folds down and the typewriter goes upside down underneath. And I just don't have a good spot for something like that. That's the biggest thing, is having a good spot to put that kind of new furniture to account for it, which I don't have. My office is like a weird shape with the layout at the house, and you know, it works for how I use it most of the time, the typewriter thing. But having a couple of them, that being said, we have some other tables that are like, we have a 2-story house, and in the landing, it's got a table where I might be able to put it. Yeah, it's kind of like a sewing table. Look up typewriter table, or the other thing that was, I guess, was really common is typewriter carts. So you see a lot of those where they're like little metallic carts that like the typewriter would sit on the center, and then it has like little wings that fold up on the sides, where I guess you'd set your typed pages and then your blank pages waiting to go in. So it's kind of like a little assembly line. Grab your blank sheet from the left, put it in, type it out, put the type sheet on the right. So that's another option that I might get, because if I can find one of those with wheels, then I could kind of roll it around the office and gives a little bit more flexibility. But part of getting these is them being so much smaller. These can stay in a case, because like this one came with like a leatherette type old school suitcase case. The Ensign, a case was made for it, but that one didn't have it, but it fits in a messenger bag quite well. I brought an empty messenger bag just to have something to put it in. And so these can sit under the desk. But hey, Ann, thanks for stopping in for a little bit. Yeah, I'm not going to be going much longer because I have to get ready to head over to Vanness for Pen Club and some other stuff. But glad you were able to hop on for a bit. And congratulations on being one of the first typewriter letters recipients. And I'll put a link. I'm going to do a more formal post and whatnot where I have the Google form where if you want a letter or a postcard, it gives me addresses and it makes it where you don't have to post it publicly anywhere. And then that way I can send things out, as to help me have the motivation to write more letters and postcards. And I'm still on the hunt for some good postcards. I received one the other day. There's a book of postcards called Effin' Birds, EFFIN, and it's like just bird drawings on the front and then a little bit of not safe for work text, which I find hilarious. And receiving one of those in the mail just made me laugh. So I'm probably going to find those, and I'm probably going to add to the form, are you okay with receiving one of these postcards? Because, if you have kids or you don't want that to come through your mailbox, I fully understand. But some people are like, it's not going to matter. Just send it. So once I track some of those down, I'll probably add that on the form as well. But so that's pretty much what I have for now. And I might do another little kind of follow-up stream either probably later tonight, probably not tomorrow morning, because that's going to be the long drive back, not breaking it up. And in that drive, there's a chance of going to IKEA to possibly pick up some Alex drawers for ink storage or some of those other things. Or maybe, George, to your point, maybe I'll find another little table that would be perfect that I know would fit in my office with the space I have to put some of these on. Or like what I'd like to have is under that side desk, like a half height desk that kind of sits in far enough where my legs aren't going to hit it, but I can use it as like a shelf. So that's really what I'm looking out for. And IKEA, I get lost in the website. It's much better for me to walk through the rows, and if I see it, I know it'll work. So that's kind of my plan there. And that's part of why I feel like I brought way too much stuff with me for this trip, but I also wanted to do this stream and whatnot because this was a great proof of concept as well, that this seems like, at least from what I can tell, decent video. Sounds like y'all are saying the audio is coming through. So this is an extreme minimalist setup. All this fits in a backpack, which is nice for being able to do things at shows or whatnot in the future in a scaled down version where it might be just a laptop camera, one little light, and a webcam, but that's what we got. So thanks for, hopping on this morning. Like I said, this was kind of impromptu. I knew I wanted to do a stream at some point during this, weekend. I brought stuff last time I came to Little Rock and I never took any of it out of the bag, but I was like, this time when I got to the hotel yesterday, the first thing I did after having been at Vanness all day was plug the laptop in to charge, get all this stuff out and set it up before I went to dinner, just so then if I had all this out, I had no excuse to not sit down when I had a moment and actually do a stream. And I wanted to go through what was in the bag because I need to get caught up on some journaling as well. So some of those stickers are definitely going to get called into service, and possibly some of that washi. So like I said, appreciate y'all hopping on this kind of impromptu morning stream. And look, make sure you're subscribed, because if I do another pop-up either tonight or later on today, you'll get notified of that. There was talk of possibly streaming some from the Pen Club meeting today, which that could happen as well. Who knows? But we'll see. But until next time, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video or the next stream.